Okay, I'm actually quite proud to report a little victory. This is my joystick, and this is my leg. And right now, it's configured so that roughly, obviously, for some reason, nothing is perfect. The foot goes in the direction, see when you get to the top there, it kind of swings the foot out, and when I go down, it drives the foot downward. So one thing is my measurements are probably crazy. Here I'm extending. If I get too far out, it does that. But then you can see it's keeping track of where the XY coordinate is with the program, because at the end of the loop, it stores, when it goes back to the beginning of the loop, it uses the last variable for X and Y. And so what I'm doing here, for the most part, is driving the change in X and the change in Y. So actually that's not a little success. It's a very big success. I can't get too crazy. I told it to constrain to different values, but I don't know how to make it so that it freezes the program at that value. It still tries to go outside of that area, and it does that, and it puts both of the servos to 0. So when it hits the edge, I don't really understand what it's doing. If I try to do too many directions at once, it doesn't want to do it for me yet. There, I had the foot move diagonally. Okay, and then a brief look at the programming. So, obviously at the beginning, I say use the servo and math library. Here is a few variables that have to be in both parts of the program. Here's the setup. So I have the main equation in setup as well as in the loop. And what happens in setup is X and Y are already declared at 90 and 90. And remember, Y90 is inverse. So this will basically point the leg out and down a little bit. Then it takes X90 and Y90 and does the math. And at the very beginning of the program, which I will show, first I will move the joystick again, so that the foot it's almost at 90-90 right now. So let's say my foot is way up here, and then I re-upload the program. It's uploading. Here it's at 90-90, but you see that I got some joystick play or something. It's kind of floating around right now. My joystick isn't that good. And even though I've got about a quarter of the joystick marked off as the center. It still will sometimes read values, but it's just reading a voltage. So, this is just a joystick, a cheapy little joystick plugged into there's not a whole lot of voltage control measures going on. So a very fine-tuned machine would have all kinds of circuitry that's not present on this little, hobby rig. Okay, so then the next part of the program, I'm going to read the joystick values. Then I'm supposed to be limiting the X and Y coordinates so that it doesn't go too far that way, but instead it does. The computer does, and then it puts the servos at 0, and I don't know why it's doing that. This is the computer. And then here's the joystick possible input readings. 0 to 123 are the possible readings off of the potentiometer. Anyways, a 10K potentiometer. And the map function then sets it so it ranges 0 to 1023 so that it goes from -10 to 10. And that's the X change and Y change. And then X is equal to X plus the X change, so if X is a negative change, then it subtracts it. And then it comes down here, and it puts X and Y into the equation. Many of these other values are fixed at the beginning, like tibia length is set up here. So the two leg lengths are set up here, and those don't change in this programming. L is the distance from this point to this point, and it's calculated right here. So as X and Y change, L changes. L is required in the sine and cosine equations here to use the 3 known sides of the triangle to determine the angles. And then it writes those angles to the servos. It waits a very short period of time. I could probably take that delay out and it might run a little more smoothly. And then it starts over at loop. So it reads the joystick angles. X and Y at this point are what they were after this change. So what X and Y were at this point, this little bracket, it goes back up to the top and remembers those XY values. So then my program is complete, and I use my joystick to drive the foot. Sideways, up and down. Obviously I'm not the best at joysticking. So that's my 2-dimensional arm experiment.